Hey guys, I'm sorry I couldn't be there today, but we need to keep moving with adjective and adverb, phrases and clauses reteaching. So you should have gotten a double-sided worksheet. One side has adjective and adverb phrases, and the other side has adjective and adverb clauses. So this worksheet is actually called a tree map, and we're going to use it as a visual diagram to help you understand the parts of um, the phrases and clauses and the parts of speech that make up the phrases and clauses. So, one thing that I do want to point out, you can use this sheet on your retest tomorrow. I repeat, you can use this sheet on your retest tomorrow to help you make corrections to the questions that you missed. So, please take good notes. Feel free to pause this at any time so that you can make sure you have all the information. All right, so let's go ahead and start with the tree map that's titled Adjective and Adverb Phrases. Make sure that you look at the top and you're writing on the one that says Adjective and Adverb Phrases. So to start out, adjective and adverb phrases are made up of a preposition followed by a noun or pronoun. And these are also known as prepositional phrases because they start with a preposition. So you can find all of those prepositions on page 40 of your interactive notebook, or if you turn your head over to the right and look at the whiteboard, Miss Leith and I made some anchor charts for you yesterday. One of those anchor charts has all of the prepositions on them that you might see on your test tomorrow. Say thanks, Miss Leith, when you see her later. All right, so now that we've got the basics of adjective and adverb phrases, we're going to go ahead and move on to adjective phrases. So this should be the left side of your tree map. All right, so adjective phrases modify nouns or pronouns, just like adjectives do. And this is something that, again, is very important. You need to understand that a noun is a person, place, or thing, and a pronoun can take the place of that person, place, or thing. So all an adjective does is modify or describe that person, place, or thing. Adjective phrases also start with a preposition. So I'm going to talk about the preposition as a signal word, and the preposition is what's going to be the word that starts our phrase. So adjective phrases answer the questions which one, what kind, how much, and how many. All right, so let's look at our example. The kitten chased the ball of yarn. So to identify the phrase and decide whether it's an adjective or adverb phrase, we're going to go by a series of steps. So number one, we want to look for the signal word, aka the preposition. Then we want to identify the noun or pronoun that follows. And then the third step is to ask yourself what the phrase describes. So the preposition here is of. The noun or pronoun that follows is yarn, making our phrase of yarn. Now notice that because this is a phrase, we do not have a predicate. Some of y'all continue to confuse phrases and clauses, so that might be something that you want to go and review. So next we need to find the word that modifies, that is being modified. And of yarn is modifying ball. It answers the question, what kind? It's not a ball of hay or a ball of seaweed. I don't know. It's a ball of yarn. All right, so that's how the phrase is modifying a noun, making it an adjective phrase. All right, let's move on. Adverb phrases. So an adverb modifies a verb, adjective, or adverb. Again, just like a regular singular adverb would do, but it's a whole phrase. So it starts with a preposition, just like the adjective phrase. And it answers the questions how, when, where, how often, and to what extent. So let's look at our example. The mice started into their underground dens. We're going to go by the same steps that we did for adjective phrases. We're going to look for the signal word, the preposition, identify the noun or pronoun that follows, and then ask ourselves what the phrase describes. So here our preposition is into, and the noun that follows is dens. So our entire phrase would be into their underground dens. So notice here that there and underground are functioning to describe the dens. So they are adjectives as well. So then what does into their underground dens modify? It modifies the word darted, and it answers the question where. Where did the mice dart? Into their underground dens. All right, so now go ahead and flip your page over and let's talk about adjective and adverb clauses. So adjective and adverb clauses must have a subject and a predicate. They are also known as dependent clauses. Okay, again, we're going to start with the left side of our tree map and talk about adjective clauses. So, first off, an adjective clause, you guessed it, modifies a noun or pronoun just like an adjective does, just like an adjective phrase does. But an adjective clause starts with a relative pronoun or relative adverb. These are in your interactive notebook if you want to review them. They are also up on the board on the anchor charts, so you can use those tomorrow as well. If you want to go into more detail on your notes page, since you can use this tomorrow, I would suggest you write down the relative pronouns and relative adverbs so they're right in front of you for the retest tomorrow. Adjective clauses answer the same questions that adjective phrases answer, and that is which one, what kind, how much, and how many. So let's look at our example. The tree which I bought was green. So our steps to take to identify the clause, number one, we'll look for the signal word. This is the relative pronoun or relative adverb. Step number two, we're going to identify the subject and predicate. This will tell us what the entire clause is. And then number three, we'll ask ourselves what the clause describes. So our signal word here is going to be which. It is a relative pronoun. Our subject is going to be I, and our predicate is bought, which would make the entire clause which I bought. So what does which I bought modify? It modifies the noun tree and answers the question which tree. So we're not describing the tree that's dead in the back that nobody wants. We're describing the tree which I bought. All right, let's move on to adverb clauses. So adverb clauses modify verbs, adjectives, or adverbs just like regular adverbs do and just like adverb phrases do. But adverb clauses start with a subordinating conjunction. Now the list of subordinating conjunctions is again in your interactive notebook or up on the board with those anchor charts. There are a lot of subordinating conjunctions, so you may not be able to write them all down on this page, but you should be familiar with them because we've been talking about them since the beginning of the year. Adverb clauses answer the same questions that adverbs do in adverb phrases: how, when, where, how often, and to what extent. Let's look at our example. I haven't seen him since I arrived. So we're going to go by the same steps. Look for our signal word, which will be the subordinating conjunction, and you'll notice the signal word is the word that each phrase or clause starts with each time. So when I refer to the signal word, that's what the phrase or clause starts with. So step number two, we need to identify the subject and predicate. And then step number three, ask yourself what the clause describes. So signal word is since, that's our subordinating conjunction. Our subject is I, the predicate is arrived. So the entire clause is going to be since I arrived. Now, it's modifying a verb and it's telling us when. So the verb that's being modified is seen. I haven't seen him since I arrived. That's telling you when I last saw him. All right, so that's it for the reteaching sheet. Now, for the rest of class, you can work on the 40% corrections that I graded and sent back to you yesterday. If you still have not turned that in, then you need to turn it in. After you finish your corrections over the 40% adjective and adverb phrases and clauses, you can either work on your narrative reflection and rewrite, MobyMax, or work for another class. I will see y'all tomorrow.